Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I wanted to talk about one of my new favorite weapons in Destiny 2 Season of the Wish, and that is the Chivalric Fire Ritual Sword that I have fallen in absolute love with. This thing is so much fun. It is the first Void caster frame. If you didn't know, caster frames are able to launch a heavy projectile attack, and it synergizes really well with its traits. And I like when they do unique things with the ritual weapons, and even though this is not going to be one of the most overpowered weapons, it's not going to be the highest DPS sword in the game or anything like that, it is very useful, and it synergizes with a lot of builds in a way I think a lot of people would not expect, and for me, it works out really, really well. I've been using it in the coil activity, I've been using it in the new Warlord's Ruin dungeon, and overall, I just absolutely love this thing. So let's jump into the perks. First off, it has Tempered Edge, increased sword damage and ammo. Then we have Balanced Guard. Sword Guard has balanced overall defenses. Next up, we have Relentless Strikes. Landing 3 light attack hits within a short time grants sword ammo. This is very nice, but I don't think it fits the theme of the sword as well, so I don't really run it as often. You may prefer this, especially if you're not running a Void build specifically, but I do prefer Repulsor Brace. Defeating a Void debuff target grants an overshield. The reason I'll get into in a little bit, you can run this with a Void build and it works out really, really well. You can run it with a Strand Banner of War Titan, and I really enjoy that. I think it works out tremendously. You can heal a ton, you can get an overshield. It just works out tremendously for me personally, especially when you have sections of content that have a lot of ads present and you're able to clear them quickly, and the damage is pretty nice, so even at higher tier content you're still able to clear ads pretty well and apply the traits. So that's why I like this one specifically. Once again, pairing this with something that does a lot of DPS like a Syntheseps Titan on Strand, where you can just do a lot of melee damage, 2 bosses and the like, or if you're running something like Cartesian Coordinate or any other options that do really good void or boss damage, that's going to pair well with something like this that can take out a lot of enemies, keep you alive with the Void Overshield, all that kind of good stuff. Next up, we have Attrition Orbs. This trait I like a lot, but I prefer the second slot personally. So Attrition Orb says dealing sustained damage creates an orb of power. Once again, this pairs really well with Relentless Strikes. So if you are in a DPS phase, if you want to take on a boss and just melee attack the entire time with your sword, that is a good perk. It just doesn't fit as well with the caster frame in my opinion, but it does also work with the projectile if you're able to use them quickly enough. So it is nice to have that extra orb generation. I just prefer, once again, the second slot, which is destabilizing rounds. Final blows cause nearby targets to become volatile. Again, once they become volatile, that means they're void debuffed. You're going to get that overshield, and it just creates a nice little loop there that I very much enjoy. And so this is a weapon that I think a lot of people will sleep on. They might not use it because it doesn't do the highest DPS in the game or something like that, but I think it is tremendously useful and pairs well with a lot of builds that you'd be surprised with how good this actually works. Again, if you're worried about survivability, having an overshield, and then also getting Vanguard's Vindication, so final blows with this weapon, grant a small amount of health. If you're getting multiple final blows at a time, you're going to be getting good chunks of health back at any given moment. So that really pairs well, once again, especially once you get to harder content where you want to be more aggressive, but it's hard because you are taking a lot of damage. Having an overshield, defeating enemies quickly, all of that will pair well. You could also use One Quiet Moment, grants increased reload speed and handling. Swords gain faster movement speed. So if you want to be a bit faster, that's where this one comes in. And then finally, we've got Gun and Run. Rapidly defeating targets with this weapon grants bonus sprint speed. Guardians, powerful combatants, and high-value targets grant this bonus quicker. If you just want to be fast, I've used this a little bit, and it is a ton of fun to just go super speed with the Gun and Run trait. But yeah, overall, the playstyle is pretty simple. You're going to want to find clumps of ads to clear as quickly as possible with one of your projectile attacks. But remember, all of the different traits work with your regular light attack, they work with a close range heavy attack, and they work with your projectile attack as well. So if you're just swiping with your standard melee, you're still making enemies volatile. You're still granting that void debuff shield that you would get as well. So you don't specifically only have to use the projectile attack. But for me, that's where the fun factor comes into this thing. And that's why I like it the most, because I do like sending out that void spinning arc of damage that can clear ads really quickly. So that's one of the reasons that I do like this thing so much. It does feel like a lot of fun. Once again, is it going to be the best option in Grandmasters or maybe Master Raids or anything like that? Probably not, because you need high DPS, and oftentimes swords are not the greatest option for staying alive. But is this something that I will be using a ton throughout this season, and even in seasons of the future when we have void specific artifact mods? Absolutely. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best ritual weapons we've gotten in quite some time. I love it. I highly recommend chasing this as soon as possible, testing it out for yourself, and seeing if you enjoy it as much as I do. Anyway, my name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.